Hi all, a warm welcome to all of you in the today's daily current affairs session on EduTap. And my dear learners, I hope that all of you are healthy and preparing well for your upcoming exams. And when we talk about exams, then current affairs plays a really very important part in the exams. And that is the reason that I am back with a very important session in which we will be discussing the top PIB news from the month of December 2021. So my dear learners, if we talk about today's session, then today we are going to discuss the National Multidimensional Poverty Index, which is really a very important topic for your examination. So before starting the session, if you are new to our YouTube channel, kindly subscribe it and press the bell icon to receive all the latest updates of the courses and videos offered by us. And you can also join our Telegram channel to get the access to the PDF of these lectures. To join the Telegram channel, kindly click on the link given in the description below. Okay, and my dear learners, I am glad to announce that we are running a one-time sale. Okay, and in this one-time sale we are providing flat 50% off on our various courses for the RBI Grade B, SEBI Grade A, NABARD Grade A, ICAR AO and other courses as well. But please make sure that this particular sale is only valid from 3rd December to 5th of December 2021, and you can avail this particular offer by using the code ONETIME, that is ONETIME. So I hope that this particular thing is very much clear to all of you. And now my dear learners, let's move on to the session. Let's get started. So here is the topic of the discussion that we will be discussing in our today's session, that is the National Multidimensional Poverty Index. So my dear learners, once again this is a very important topic that you are required to cover for your exam, because it is really very important as it pertains to the very important topic of our syllabus, that is poverty. And apart from that, it has been released by Niti Aayog, and all these reports and indices which are being released by Niti Aayog are really very important from the exam point of view. So now let's move on to the session and let's see that what exactly we are having in this National Multidimensional Poverty Index. So my dear learners, here you can see the headline from the PIB itself, that explainer note on the National Multidimensional Poverty Index. And if we talk about this National Multidimensional Poverty Index, then my dear learners, here you can see that it is based on the baseline report, which is based on the NFHS 4 2015 to 2016. That means that this National Multidimensional Poverty Index is based on the National Family Health Survey 4, and this survey was being conducted for the period from 2015 to 2016. And now my dear learners, there is the homework for all of you, and you are required to tell me in the comment section below the name of the agency, the name of the organization which has conducted the National Family Health Survey 4. Okay, so my dear learners, apart from this, when we talk about the National Multidimensional Poverty Index, then it is being released by Niti Aayog. Once again, a very important point that you are required to remember from the exam point of view, as in the examination we have seen such kind of questions where the releasing body itself are being asked in the exam, and that is the reason that this is one of the very important dimensions that you are required to cover whenever you are covering these reports and indices. So I hope that this is very much clear. Now my dear learners, if we talk about the National Multidimensional Poverty Index, see, this index has been developed by Niti Aayog in consultation with the 12 line ministries. And what exactly are these ministries? Here is the list of all these ministries which are with the consultation of which the Niti Aayog has developed this particular National Multidimensional Poverty Index. And if we talk about the nodal ministry for the National Multidimensional Poverty Index, then it is Niti Aayog itself. Okay, and here is the list of other 11 ministries along which this particular National Multidimensional Poverty Index has been framed. So I hope that this is very much clear. You can go through the name of these particular ministries as well. And now we are moving ahead, and my dear learners, before moving ahead, I would like to tell you that, see, Global Multidimensional Poverty Index was being launched recently by the United Nations Development Program. Okay, and India's rank was 66 out of 109 countries. See, this Global Multidimensional Poverty Index gave us the overall picture of poverty in India. But see, in order to improve the India's rankings in the Global Multidimensional Poverty Index, this National Multidimensional Poverty Index has been launched so that we can have a MPI score, the Multidimensional Poverty Index of each individual state and union territory. And apart from that, this multidimensional poverty index, that is the national multidimensional poverty index, also comprises of the MPI scores for the districts as well. And that's how cumulatively this particular national multidimensional poverty index is going to provide us the key scenario of the poverty in India, and how we can increase and how we can improve the ranking of India in the global multidimensional poverty index. And that is the main reason that this national multidimensional poverty index has been released by Niti Aayog. I hope that this is very much clear to all of you. And now, my dear learners, if we talk about this global multidimensional poverty index, then it was being launched by United Nations Development Program along with the Oxford Poverty and Human Development Initiative. And if we talk about the national multidimensional poverty index, then it has been developed by Niti Aayog and in consultation with the 12 line ministries and along with the state governments as well as index publishing agencies, that is OPHI, that is Oxford Poverty and Human Development Initiative, and the United Nations Development Program. So I hope that this particular thing is very much clear to all of you, and why this index has been launched is also very much clear to all of you, in order to, that is to improve the India's rankings in the multidimensional poverty index. This particular national multidimensional poverty index has been launched by Niti Aayog. So my dear learners, if we talk about this particular report, that is National Multidimensional Poverty Index, then it also contribute towards measuring progress towards the target 1.2 of the Sustainable Development Goals. Sorry. And if we talk about the target 1.2 of the Sustainable Development Goals, then my dear learners, this particular target aims to reduce at least by half the proportion of men, women as well as children of all the ages which are living in the poverty in all its dimensions. So it also contributes towards measuring the targets towards target 1.2 of the SDG. And if we talk about the National Poverty Index, then my dear learners, it seeks to measure the poverty in India across various dimensions. And what exactly are three dimensions? There are three dimensions along which this particular national poverty index is being based on. And my dear learners, what exactly are these three dimensions? We are going to discuss in the upcoming slides. Apart from that, all these dimensions have various indicators. And what exactly these are indicators? See, there are a total of 12 indicators on the basis of which the poverty is being measured in India with the help of the National Multidimensional Poverty Index. And we are going to discuss all of them one by one in the upcoming slides. So if we talk about the dimensions, then my dear learners, there are three dimensions. Here the very first dimension is the health, and the health are having the three indicators, that is nutrition, child and adolescent mortality, and antenatal care. With the help of all these indicators, we are this National Multidimensional Poverty Index measures the poverty with the help of this dimension which is related to health. Apart from that, we are having the second dimension, that is of education, in which we are having the two indicators, that is the years of schooling and the school attendance. And see, you can also go through here the conditions, that when we can say that that particular person, that particular household was deprived of such kind of thing, that is deprived of nutrition, deprived of child and adolescent mortality, or deprived of antenatal care. And my dear learners, apart from the health and education, we are also having the third dimension, that is the standard of living. And if we talk about standard of living, there are 7 indicators under this dimension of the National Multidimensional Poverty Index, that is cooking fuel, sanitation, drinking water, electricity, housing, assets as well as bank account. And all these dimensions and their indicators, total of 12 indicators, cumulatively brings out the National Multidimensional Poverty Index, which measures the poverty in India. And my dear learners, I hope that all these dimensions as well as indicators are very much clear to all of you. And now let's see that what exactly are the indicator wise contribution to the multidimensional poverty index. And if we talk about the total score of the India's multidimensional poverty index, then my dear learners, the indicator which is having the highest impact in the overall India score in the multidimensional poverty index, then that was the nutrition, which is having 28.1% of the overall MPI score. Apart from that, this will be followed by years of schooling, which is having 15.1% of the total contribution to the India's MPI score, and this is followed by maternal health. So these are the top 3 indicators which are having the highest contribution to the India's MPI score. And now when we talk about the state-wise results, that what exactly, that which state has the highest share of the multidimensionally poor people and which is having the lowest share, then my dear learners, here Bihar is the state which is having the highest share, that is 51.9% of the people living there are multidimensionally poor. And if we talk about the state which is having the lowest number of multidimensionally poor people, then it is 0.7% of the Kerala's population is multidimensionally poor. So here you are required to remember the name of these two states, that is Bihar, which is having 51.9% of the population, and the second thing is the 0.7% in Kerala. So you are required to remember these two particular names of the states, which are really very important to be remembered from the exam point of view. And now my dear learners, when we talk about the union territory wise results, then Dadar and Nagar Haveli, the 27.36% of the population of Dadar and Nagar Haveli is under the multidimensionally poor. And if we talk about the Puducherry, then it is having the lowest population share, that is 1.72%, which are considered as multidimensionally poor as per the National Multidimensional Poverty Index. So my dear learners, here whenever we are covering these indexes, you are required to remember the top performers and the worst performers. And if we talk about the worst performers, here the worst performer is the state which is having the highest share of people in the multidimensionally poor, and the highest performer is the union territory which is having the lowest proportion of population as multidimensionally poor. I hope that this particular thing is very much clear to all of you. And now my dear learners, here let's move on to the question, and all of you are requested to answer the questions in the comment section below. So my dear learners, here the question is, which one of the following statements are correct about the National Multidimensional Poverty Index? And here you are required, in order to answer the question, first of all you are required to carefully read out the question, that what exactly the question is demanding. See, if we read out the question again, it says that which one of the following statements are correct about the National Multidimensional Poverty Index. So my dear learners, here you are required to identify the correct statement about the National Multidimensional Poverty Index. And my dear learners, in order to answer the question, you are required to quickly go through these particular statements and then tell me in the comment section below that which of the following statements are correct about the National Multidimensional Poverty Index. Okay, so if we talk about the very first statement, it says that it has been developed by Niti Aayog in consultation with the 12 line ministries and in partnership with the state governments and the index publishing agencies, that are OPHI and UNDP, that is United Nations Development Program. And as per our discussion, this particular statement is correct. Now moving on to the next statement, it says that this particular National Multidimensional Poverty Index is based on National Family Health Survey 4, which was conducted in 2015 to 2016. Okay, so as per our discussion, we have discussed that this particular index is based on the National Family Health Survey 4, and this survey was being conducted for the period of 2015 to 2016. And my dear learners, I have also asked a homework question during our discussion of this National Multidimensional Poverty Index, that you are required to tell me in the comment section below the name of the organization which conducts this survey, that is the National Family Health Survey. Okay, now if we talk about the third statement, the third statement says that the national MPI captures multiple and simultaneous deprivations which are being faced by households across the two macro dimensions of the health and living standards. See, this question, this particular statement is related to the framework of the National Multidimensional Poverty Index. And while during our discussion of the framework of this particular index, we have discussed that this particular index is based on three dimensions which are having 12 different indicators. Okay, and what exactly these three dimensions were? First one was health, second one was living standard, and the third one was education. So my dear learners, these were the three important dimensions across which the poverty was being measured by the National Multidimensional Poverty Index, and that is the reason that this particular third statement is incorrect, and the right answer to this question is option B, that is both statement 1 and 2 are correct. See, this particular index is really very important to be covered, and the question can also be asked that which state is having the highest share of the multidimensional poor people in India. And my dear learners, the right answer for that question will be Bihar. And the state which is having the lowest contribution, then it will be having it will be the Kerala with 0.7% of the total population, which is considered as multidimensional poor. So you must be prepared to answer these kind of questions, and we have discussed all these particular things in our today's session. So my dear learners, that was all from our today's session. I hope that today's session was useful and fruitful to all of you. And if you have liked the session, please give a thumbs up in the comment section below. And if you are having any queries, then you can drop us a mail at hello@edutap.co.in, and you can also call us at 8146207241. So thank you for joining us. Wish you all happy learning.